I think I can just maybe create YouTube videos on TikTok and just edit as I'm going. The problem is it can only be 10-minute videos, but let's fucking try it. I like this way better. Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome. This is my first ever YouTube on TikTok. I'm gonna have to flip this so my face looks like normal in person, or else it's too weird. Do you like my half-painted wall? Me 3. It looks cooler over here, but okay, not that much cooler. Anyway, I wanted to talk today about PDA, autism, because I've been saying it a lot and saying the words out loud a lot and not really saying much about what it is, because I've just gone over it so much. Once I explain this, you guys will understand so much about me and why I am the way that I am. Maybe a lot about yourself too, because bro, a lot of us might fit this profile. I know I do. That's why I'm saying it. PDA, you're thinking public displays of affection? Nay. So it's not a diagnosis, but it's called pathological demand avoidance. It's more so called by the community persistent drive for autonomy, because demand avoidance makes it kind of like seem like something that it's not really. Avoiding demands is a core part of it, but that's just what it looks like on the outside. So persistent drive for autonomy, PDA, is a profile of autism. So that means that it's like a autistic people, like some people can be like this kind of autistic. And autistic PDAers have an intense drive to be autonomous always. I don't just mean intense drive. I mean like it is built into our DNA and it is actively what drives us in everything we do. When I perceive a demand, when I perceive like someone is trying to control me, or in a weird way, I'm not autonomous, I'm not 100% making my own decision. If it's not fair, if it just like it doesn't make sense because it's not fair. My nervous system goes into fight, flight, freeze, the same as it would if I were fighting a tiger in front of me. What that means is in those cases, when I lose control or have to give into a demand, which a lot can be a demand, my nervous system works into keeping me safe, and so I lose access to my thinking brain and my frontal lobe, and I go into my fight, flight, freeze, survival monkey brain. And if I'm past a certain threshold, then I will melt down or shut down. Some PDAers are more internal with their reactions and how they handle control and demands, and some are more external. It's usually easier to spot with a PDAer who is more external, because they're more likely to say no when they have a demand, or scream and punch or bite you, or just like growl and run away. Sometimes the nervous system says fight, we're not doing it. Sometimes the nervous system says flight, run away, or distract them, or get onto a different topic, or figure out a way around it, cancel the plans, figure it out, you're not doing it. Or also freeze, bringing it all into your head, dissociating, not being able to do anything or go anywhere. And I think this is where I fall in a lot, and when I do, I become just autistically inert. Now, a lot of times when I talk about PDA, people are like, that sounds like it could be a lot of other things. Sounds like oppositional defiant disorder. Well, it's not. That sounds like, just being a human person. Well, it's not. That sounds like you just like are normal. No one likes being told what to do. Well, it's not like that. Personally, it's fucked. I'm only just now learning about PDA and me and how it impacts and affects me today, but it impacted me and affected me since I was little, just in different ways. I always say it was so hard to be a kid, and I always felt like one of the reasons why it was so hard is because I knew nothing and could not make any decisions, and I had to trust the people around me to make the decisions for me, and I didn't trust them. So I had to be controlled. I couldn't be autonomous. I had no choice, and that sucked. As soon as I could speak, I was trying to pick my own outfits, which isn't fun. I don't want to do that. I was very bossy, and I would tell my parents that they were playing with, by parents, I mean my mom, maybe 1 or 2 times. And then I was like, you're playing wrong. She's like, okay, I'm not playing with you then. Fuck off. Pro tip, please play with your PDA child. Play is actually like a very important thing to do with your child, with your PDA child. For some context and some clarity, let's go over what some demands are or can look like. They're going to change and vary person to person, and also mindset to mindset. Anything that is not spontaneous right now, me deciding it in the moment, anything that is pre-planned feels like I have to do it, which feels like a demand and feels like not autonomy. Anything that I have to do is a demand. Or anything that I think anyone is trying to make it so I try to feel like I have to do it, demand. My parents telling me, go brush your teeth, demand. Even when my mom was like, hey, how was school? Going to school was a demand. Going to dance afterwards. I quit like every single activity that I did, but I wanted to do them so bad. It's just that I couldn't when I got there or before going. Today that looks like working, which is great, because just like work and capitalism in general does not feel autonomous. When I've gotten really depressed and low, living can feel like a demand. Eating, showering, vacuuming, doing laundry. I mean, that kind of does in the day-to-day, but there's some times when that just felt like so fucking rude, you know, that I'm like, how dare I? Like, who is making me do this right now? That I don't want to do any of this stuff. But even though rationally I do. I know the consequences. I don't want the consequences. I love having a clean house. I love being clean. I know all of these things. Sleeping. Love sleeping. I was an insomniac since I was a little kid because sleep is a demand. Text message is a demand. Poems, quotes used to be a big demand for me. Signs, anyone advertising, any advertisement. PDA people are also usually really good at sniffing out when someone's trying to sell you something, or when there's an ulterior motive, or when someone's trying to make you feel a way. They're trying to influence you in a way that makes it so you're being controlled. Someone's trying to control you in a way, manipulate you in a way, not autonomous. And I can smell that bullshit from a mile away. Not doing it. So what are some ways to help PDA? Obviously, it's going to be very, very different for everybody. And I recommend that if this is you or if this is your loved one, don't listen to anybody specifically. Listen, take a listen to everybody and then focus on your kid or on yourself, on your person, and see the patterns. Write them down, see the patterns of what's going on, and maybe you can start to identify the triggers. Questions, suggestions can be a trigger. So even initiating something with a PDAer may be seen as a demand. There are a lot of just language shifts that you can use. So instead of like asking a question, for example, just like using statements of things that are real and exist, and then letting that PDAer go from there and make their own choices. So instead of like, what do you want to eat for dinner? It'd be like, we have peas and we have carrots. Whenever I babysat, I would never ask the kids like, do you want milk? I know you don't want milk. I'd be like, are we drinking milk from the red cup or the blue cup today? And they're like, the blue one. That's just because that's how my brain works, and so that's how I work. I would recommend living as low demand of a lifestyle as possible. So what that looks like is not having any obligations if you can help it. Or when you do set those obligations, setting that boundary to know, like, I may cancel this and I may change this. As a dance teacher of all ages, there are a lot of neurodivergent kids in dance, and there are PDAers, and dance is a very triggering thing for a PDAer. It was for me when I was little. I quit dance because it's a demand. It's something you have to do, and even though these kids love it, I know they do, it's stressful. I try to offer my classes to those kids. I'm like, it's optional. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be here. This is just a thing that you can do. I'm here regardless. You can just come have a seat, or you don't have to come to class sometimes. Parents, of course, would love their kid to come to class all the time, but if your kid's coming to class and just crying the whole time, you're losing your money anyway. Might as well put your money into it and say, like, this is now an accommodation for my child's nervous system, and we can go when they decide to. A lot of PDA kids require a lot of care and attention and a stable nervous system. And so if they're freaking out and yelling at you, then you are probably their safe nervous system. So good job. Are any of you guys PDA, and do you already know it? If so, let me know what is demanding to you, like something else that's a demand. I'll tell you something else. Menus. I cannot read menus. I get weird about menus, and I'm hyperlexic. I look at menus and I'm like, ugh! Anyway, cool, thanks for being here. I'll talk more about some PDA things later, but I can't wait to hear from you guys and see what you think, and if you guys have any prior knowledge and or experience, because I don't have too much. I'm just getting into it now, and I'm really happy to finally be learning about something that is freaking life-changing to me. Anyway, this is me filming on TikTok. Sayonara. Oh, like, subscribe, and make sure that you yell at me in the comments below before you leave. This is the end of the video song. This video's to tell you the video's done. If you're hearing this, it's because the video's done. Go watch another one. Boop, boop. Have a good day. Love you so much. Bye.